Hello and welcome to CNT Collectibles. I am C. Hope you are doing well today, and we're going to do 3 and outs where we look at the top 3 risers and 1 punt in the world of football cards, and we should be able to get you out of that in just a couple of minutes. And if you want to hang around for some extra credit, do have an update to a player from our chart show last Friday. And lastly, we'll round it up with a little economic data and how that ties into what's happening in the realm of sports cards. So we'll start off with our 3 and out with our number 3 riser for the week, and that is Drew Brees' his 2001 Topps base in raw form up 73%. And so you can see that's been traveling in a pretty broad range. When it gets down to around $30, you buy it, and if it gets down to $100, you sell it. You have these spikes here, but they are quickly bought or they are quickly sold. But the majority of the action takes place inside of these bands here. So you've had a nice move from the bottom. Maybe there's a little bit of upside, but until this changes, and you can see even recently it's been able to hold this $50 area a little bit, so you may not see down here again as Drew Brees will start to get built up for Hall of Fame and all that kind of good stuff here. But you can see that your risk reward kind of in the middle of the range. Maybe there's a little bit of upside, downside. Below this, it's more of a stronger buy, and if it gets up here until further notice, it is a sell. All right, our number 2 riser for the week is Dwayne Haskins in his 2019 Prism. In a PSA 10, trend is down, getting rejected at this trend line a few times here, and if it gets up to this area around $90, that is a sell until further notice. But you can see that there's a lot of buying in this area here, starting to thin out a little bit. And keep this in mind, we've been talking about this for a while, but demand seems to be drying up from these cards. You don't have a lot of the steady buying here. You have these wild swings where fewer and fewer people are buying, and that's able to push the prices around a lot more. This is why you're getting heightened volatility. This happens in downtrends for the most part. You just have less and less people doing the making the transactions, and so you get these wild mood swings here. So this area here around that $30 area seems to be an area where there is a decent amount of buying. You had a lower sale here, but it was a one-off. So it's coming to an area where a lot of transactions take place. So we'll see what happens here. If it can break above this, it is bullish. If it gets rejected here again, then you'll have a better chance at doing something with it. Our number 1 riser for the week is 1989 score Bo Jackson. So not the iconic. I think what was it, upper or the bat on the shoulders, that one here. So a little different variation of it. Sweet card nonetheless. He is up 100%, coming up to a level where selling has been met before, but very thinly traded. It just wouldn't take much for someone else to just push it way up, or for someone else to just come in and buy it in here. So that's in a PSA 9, so you're not getting wild variations like you would in raw, where there could be some condition issues. So who knows what happens here, but this is a spot where selling has taken place recently, and perhaps that happens again. But again, one person can come in and screw this whole thing up. All right, and we'll get to our 1 punt for the week, and that is Carr, his 2014 Topps Chrome, down 51% for the week. So you had your downtrend here, and every time it leaked up, it was quickly rejected, and so this is more of a solid line here, rejected, and now you're at the bottom of the range where it is interesting. So if you're looking for a Topps Chrome Carr, this could be a fairly interesting spot for that. All right, that is 3 and out. I thank you for watching. Yeah, please, if you don't want to hang around for the extra credit, just hit the like on the way out the door. All good. If you want to hang around for a little bit, I've got a couple of things to go over here. We're going to just revisit Justin Herbert last week. We identified kind of I didn't identify shit. I just draw lines here. I'm not picking anything crazy out here. Anyways, looked like it was for a sideways move here, but he's broken below that sideways consolidation. And just kind of retesting the underside here and making new lows. So we'll change the trend on him from sideways to down. So I know I don't cover these guys often enough to be super actionable or anything like that, but I'll try and be better about it if there's something I see that looks interesting. So anyways, the trend on Justin Herbert is down. So if you look at the high price, not the 1350, but look at that in 1 week, 1350 to, you got cut in half. So think of it this way. I'm just going to talk about this more on the Friday show. Let's say your 401k last week was, $135,000, and now it's worth $56,000. What would you call that? Dip, correction, fucking crash? Probably that. So seeing that in a lot of cards here. So anyways, trend is down. So if we take this price right here around call it $1,200 to this price in the $700, you'd look for a measured move of about $500, which would bring it down to $200, which seems kind of crazy. Not sure about that, but so just follow the trend channel here. Bottom of the range you buy it, top of the range you sell it until it breaks out. That's bullish. If it drops below, we're in for some deeper trouble here. So all right, Justin Herbert, this is silver. And last week when I did 3 and out, this was a big riser here. You had this huge move, but if you can't hold these breakouts, you come back into the range very, very quickly. So it seems like an interesting spot for it, at least. But again, yeah, if your 401k was worth 1.3 million and now it's worth 520,000 in the span of a week, what are you calling that? So, dip correction, no. So, anyways, fake move to the outside, and again, it was on low volume, and as we say when we do these. When you have these low volume moves, those are more, the risers, especially on low volume, those are more for selling. And so if you're able to take advantage of that, good on you. But you're back into the slight downtrend. But again, at an area where there's been decent selling. I don't know if I have any more on this one here. Oh yeah, sure. It's Prism PS 810. Yeah, I had this out of order. So this is from the chart show last week. We were looking at kind of a sideways, but prices were compressing lower. And again, it's broken below that. So, all right, that's what we have for that one. Let's go over a little bit of economic data here and why this ties into to the sports cards. And this is the St. Louis Fred. This is retail sales. The April numbers came out the other day, and they are relatively flat. All right. So one of the things that people were kind of bandying about is the stimulus. Stimulus had a big effect on the card market. Card markets were really kind of ripping last March and April, and stimulus hadn't really come out yet. People were just at home. So I'm more of the camp of there's more stuff to do now, and people are just moving away from cards because, especially lately, they haven't been treated very well. Cards have not done what they did last year, and so people that came in last year are now exiting, and you're back down to the collectors, and prices should return to a more sustainable level here. But as the retail sales number kind of leveled off, this does support that to an extent that whatever stimulus there was, if it did have an effect in the market, that's largely dried up now. It's been spent, and it's probably not reliable to count on that going forward. So so if you are in the camp that says the stimulus, which probably did have some sort of effect. I mean, there's people that said I'm spending my stimulus on checks, so obviously it had something. But a lot of that money has been spent. So as far as getting more buyers in via that route, probably not happening. And then you can see as well this morning a lot of the crypto names are getting hammered here, and this is the Bitcoin relative to the US dollar. And so I throw this momentum indicator. I'll take the data from Card Ladder, the recent sales, and plug them into one of my spreadsheets and calculate this. And you can see that these crosses are usually pretty negative. And so while you were consolidating, you kind of had your sell signal. And then you had your trend line, and that broke, and it was a quick move down to an area that some buyers are starting to show up and support. But again, a lot of the people that had the stimulus, they were buying a lot of the various coins, and the Doge and Ethereum and you name it. It was going into a lot of this stuff. I don't know if they were spending $35,000 worth of stimulus on Bitcoin, but they're all getting they're all down about 15-20% this morning. And again, a lot of that's fear of regulation. As these things get wild, then the government's going to kind of rub their head and say, "Oh, it's goody, we get to regulate it." That should really help things. But yeah, as far as the stimulus coming in, again, that we're seeing that a lot of these names, that's drying up as well. A lot of that money has already been spent. And so I think that's all I had for you on that one as well. But yeah, so when you're looking at the retail sales and a lot of those risk assets that a lot of this money went into, you can just kind of see that drying out, and you see it in cards as well. There just isn't the level of demand, and so that's going to lower the prices, and it's going to lead to more volatile mood swings as well. So it's important to, one, manage your risk. Two, bottom line is if you're buying cards and you're using any sort of leverage, if you're borrowing money because you think you're going to buy something and resell it immediately and make a profit, it's like that's probably a mistake. If you're collecting, that's great. If you're doing this as a side hustle, you're just like, all right, I'm buying and selling cards to probably add to my collection, and it's separate from buying, paying the bills, paying rent and buying baby formula and all that, all the important necessary stuff. No big deal. If you're borrowing money for this and you're relying this on something, you really need to be super careful about this kind of stuff. You can see that the mood swings are fairly nasty, and what we had last year, the easy money that was there last year, it may be a long time before that comes back again. So all right, that's what I got for you. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.